Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Thinning of the Veil podcast. I am your host, Tia Smith, and we are in for another how-to quick video. In this video, I wanted to show you how to start maybe researching a little bit. I know we still have lots of things to cover in the how-to section, but I felt like as we're having these Thinning of the Veil experiences, you may come across a situation where you need to start identifying information about someone and you may not know how to do that. So again, in an effort to not overprogram you, I am going to just cover some very simple introductory steps for researching. This by no means will cover like the whole expanded version. I don't even think I know the whole expanded version of how to research. I would say medium researcher. I'm not a professional by any means. There's a lot of people out there that are better at it than I am. But I wanted to kind of show you how you can get started and what to look for, and then move forward in your progression of finding those facts and details that will help you to do your ancestors' work. So, with that being said, I'm first going to show you on the computer because honestly, researching is a lot easier on a computer than it is on a cell phone. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just way easier. And one of the things to get started is you can only do on a computer. So that's why I'm going to start there with it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go into familysearch.org and you log in. Hopefully by now you know your username and password. And what you're going to start looking for in this main page is actually going to be down at the very bottom. So as soon as you log in and you're on your home page, you're going to scroll down to the very bottom of the page. And what you're looking for are options at the very bottom. It says there's an option about, there's an option volunteer, there's an option blog, there's an option find ancestors, sitemap, DNA, solutions gallery, mobile apps, contact us. So all of those options are down at the very, very bottom of the page. And I think it's every page actually. Don't quote me on that though. I know for sure it's on the front page. So what you're looking for in those options is sitemap. So you're going to click on that option, sitemap, and that's going to take you to a place where it's showing you where everything is, or you can point to where everything is. And what you're going to do is you're going to go down to news and information. It's probably halfway down. And you're looking for the column family search. And then right under family search, there is an option called third party access. Basically, what this does, brothers and sisters, is this gives you access because you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It gives you access to Ancestry, My Heritage, Find My Past, and some other ones completely for free. You cannot go to the website itself like ancestry.com and try to sign up for the free account there. You actually have to go through this way of doing it so that you can have the access. So again, you're going to click the third party access button, and that's going to take you to a page where it shows everything that's you have free access to. So the first one is Ancestry, and I use that one just as much as I use Family Search, maybe sometimes, if not more, a lot. Now, just because something's in Ancestry doesn't mean that it's in Family Search, and just because it's in Family Search doesn't necessarily mean it's also in Ancestry. So those two together, you have a pretty powerful combination of pulling up ancestral detailed informations. Another one that I use is My Heritage. That one is really, really good for out of the way newspapers. I have found so much information through these kind of backwoods newspapers. Ancestry.com has access to newspapers.com, but you, as a member of the church, will have to pay for that, like everybody else has to pay for that, unless you want to go into a family search library near you. If you go to those libraries, they have the free access to newspapers.com, and they are the main newspapers. My heritage are smaller newspapers, but I have found it very, very helpful, especially with Harry and Dolly. Harry was a very, very well known member of his community, and he had several articles written about him in various publications. And my heritage had access to those. And so I found so much information through there. Now, Find My Past is British and Irish records, and I use that a lot when I'm looking for my British and Irish and Scottish ancestors a lot. American Ancestors is the next one you can sign up for, and that focuses on early American records and genealogy. I've used that a little bit in the past, but not as much as I've used the other ones. Filet, and excuse my French, because I think that's French, but I probably am not saying that right. Um, Filet is a site for French records, and so is Genenet. Now, even if you don't have French ancestors, which I don't believe that I do, it's still good to sign up for them because if you ever want to have access to it, then you already have signed up for it. So once you've clicked on, let's say you want to join Ancestry, so you click on join for free, and you're going to go through all the prompts. So you're going to click join for free again, and then you're going to fill in everything that it's asking you to fill in. Once you've finished and clicked on all the buttons that they want you to, then you have access to that. So then after you've accessed Ancestry and MyHeritage through the Family Search website, now if you want to access it again, you don't have to go through Family Search. You can just go to ancestry.com and type in the username and password or the email and password that you gave to them, and that will allow you access. So it's not like you have to go through Family Search every single time. So that's kind of nice. I wanted to kind of show you after you've done that, what the different ways of looking look like. So when you're on Family Search and you're wanting to search records on Family Search, up at the very top, you'll have options again, and you should be pretty familiar with these options. There's Family Tree, Search, Memories, Get Involved, Activities, and Temple. So we're in this, for this particular purpose, we are looking for the search button. So when you click on the search button, it gives you all of these different ways of searching through books and genealogies and the wiki. We'll go over some of those later, but for right now, we're just going to click on records. So when you click on records in Family Search, it brings up this simple pattern. You'll find this pattern is repeated throughout the websites. They're basically kind of set up the same. They may look a little bit different, but the way that they access information is pretty similar. So in Family Search, you're going to type in all of the information that you have: first name, last name, place, and year, and then just click search. So let's just try that real quick. So we're going to type in Ivy High Bargain, and we're going to see what comes up with Ivy High Bargain. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull up all of the records associated with Ivy. Now, if you're on Family Search, you'll see off to the right-hand side different icons. If you see this particular icon, which is a square and then some lines and two squares on it, that means that this record is already attached to someone in the tree, which sometimes is helpful because then you can understand that there might be duplicates that it's not registering. One that I have found super helpful is this camera icon, which means there is an image to actually view. So let's look at this census record. The reason why I go and look at the physical copy instead of just the indexed copy is that sometimes there's information that was not indexed that is helpful for me in finding something on that record. So for instance, if you're looking at like, you know, what this person did for a living, that is indicated on the actual picture of the record. Now, not every record has a picture associated with it, but if it has a picture associated with it and I'm still questioning it, I always click to read the original and view the original record. And that seems to be very, very helpful. Um, it also, this last icon on the right-hand side is to view the record details. So this is where you're going to find the indexed record, the indexed information versus view original, the original document. And this is really helpful. I love, like, if you can find records in censuses, there is so much information there, and it just, the tree will literally blow up if you can find a census record, generally because of the listings of relationships, who's in the household. If you've this, they're just super, super helpful. So get pretty familiar with census records is what I would say. Now, in the search for Ivy, a lot of times it's going to bring up maybe some that aren't related, and you'll have to sort through it. Now, you can over here on the right-hand side, I just typed in Ivy High Bargain. If you want to focus in more on the information that you want it to search, you can fill in the birth, the marriage, the residence, the death. So the more that you put in, the narrow the search becomes. And sometimes that's a positive and sometimes that's a negative. So I always start with the widest net to cast before I start putting in more and more details just to see what it will pull up. So if you're searching on Family Search and you want to go into Ancestry, now you're looking at the same kind of way that it searches. So now I'm on ancestry.com. It's asking me the same information, first name, last name, where they lived, birth year. So I'm going to show you an interesting thing that's really cool in most of the websites. I'm going to type in Ivy High Bargain again. And I'm going to type in Kansas because that's where she was born, and 1878. Okay. Now this is pulling up the same census record that I just saw in Family Search. Let me click on that and I'm going to show you what it's going to do because it's um, really awesome when you're choosing one and you go to this Kansas U.S. city and census record for Marguerite Heibargen. It will have suggested records that might be matched for that same person off on the right-hand side. So whenever you click on a record that you might think is that person, look to the right of it to see if there's suggested records. Let's see if we can, we'll find another one that is also has records associated with it. Okay. See, we clicked on this George I. Heibargen. This is a marriage record, and you notice off to the side, suggested records. There's those obituaries, there's a find a grave, there's a Kansas U.S. County marriage record, there's a census record, there's a newspapers.com record, there's a marriage and birth record. So you can see the suggested records are so super helpful when you've identified who you're looking for. And MyHeritage does the same thing. So when you go to MyHeritage and you're looking, again, the format looks the same. So you're going to type in first and last name, year of birth and place. I'm going to type in Harry Sheeler, and I'm just going to click search here. This is where these newspaper records come in that I was telling you about. So if you view the record of the publication is Idaho County Free Press, that's a publication title, it will show you where in this article that it talks about Harry, who is Dolly's husband. And it says, perhaps First, in the list of productive gold quartz mines of this section, we ought to mention the Little Giant mine at Warren, owned by George Ribald and Harry Sheeler. Okay, so I just now know a new part of information that I didn't know about Harry and Dolly and what their life looked like in Warren. So my heritage again is really cool that way, where you can click on, they have these kind of smaller newspapers, and you can gain access to those records through my heritage. And these are not on Ancestry. They might be in the newspapers.com, which is the paid section, but the cool thing is you have access to it uh, in my heritage. So that's kind of how those three things work. I would say the best way to get used to this is just to do it. The more you do something, the easier it gets. So pick someone in your line that you're feeling drawn to, or that may be easy records to find for you, and just start searching in all of the ways that you now have access to that you didn't have access to before. I will say they may have cursed, a lot of people may have cursed their given name, but if it is an unusual name called like Harry Sheeler, it actually does them a favor, because when you're searching for records, you don't have to go through 10,000, Joe Smiths. You're just looking for one Harry Sheeler. And that one Harry Sheeler, if it pulls up a record, you pretty much know that that's that guy. So maybe choose someone who has an odd name. And you want to choose, probably if you're beginning, the 1800s and up from that, to our time, those records are more available. You get into the 1700s and the records get a little bit harder to find. So if you're beginning, choose someone who has all of the earmarkings of maybe being an easy person to find in these different search engines: Ancestry, MyHeritage, and Family Search. And then the other ones if you have relatives from those areas. One that I wanted to show you really quickly is Find a Grave. And Find a Grave has been one of my go-to favorites because people have gone to cemeteries and uploaded pictures of headstones, or they've gone to cemetery records and have uploaded those cemetery records. Now, the cool thing about that is if they have a birth, then they'll list the birth. If they don't have one, then you'll just have the death. Just like regular records, cemetery records vary in detail. So some you may have little information, just okay, this person is buried here. Others, especially on Find a Grave, it's really cool because it can give you more information on that person. So for instance, this George R. Highbargen man, it gives the birth, the death, and the burial, which is normal. But then below it, someone has spent the extra time and effort in putting in more information about George. It gives you his wife's name and his wife's original name, not her married name, and when they were married and where they were married, and that they both died within a couple weeks of one another. So it's kind of cool. Now, here's what you have to understand. If you're accessing Find My Grave from either Ancestry or Family Search, they'll only give you the indexed information and not the extra information. So if you we're going to go into Harry Sheeler's Find a Grave. And this is in the sources section. So someone has already attached the Find a Grave record as a source. So we're going to click on that source, and they're pulling it from Ancestry this time. So now we have, okay, Harry Sheeler, the birth date, the birthplace, the death date, and the death place. But what I would say is if you're accessing it from either one of those, you always click down to the URL that leads you to Find a Grave itself. because for this very reason, listed is not only his information, but also his parents' information, his siblings' information, and his one of his spouses. So Dolly was his first spouse, and Rosa E was either the second or the third. And if you go down there, you are now suddenly given so much information that if it's not in the tree, you can use this find a grave as a source. And that's what I love about it. It's like a one-stop shop where if someone has taken the time to put in the information and linked graves up, then you can go and click on every single one of those graves that are linked right there. And it will take you to that person's grave, and then it will take you to their spouse and who they are. So for me, find a grave and census records are golden because of the information that's contained in there and the connecting of the information. Now, FYI, not all find a grave pages are like this page, but when they are, that's when you start doing the happy dance. So I guess my call to action to you is first go to Family Search and access that three-party access. Then you can go in and start messing around in both Family Search, Ancestry, and MyHeritage. And then find a grave. You don't have to it's not a paid thing. You can just go and access it for free. And a lot of times you can access the records. A lot of times those are the options that Family Search and Ancestry present to you as the find a grave. But please, 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 if you do find a grave option, please click the URL so you're actually accessing it from Find a Grave itself, because you may be missing out on more information than you know. So that's the plain simpleness of it. Now, if you're going to access that on a cell phone, basically what you're going to want to do is access through your app and log in, and it's going to come to your pedigree page. On the pedigree page, what you're looking for is down at the bottom, it will say more. So you're going to click that button, more, and the next page, it will give you a ton of options, but you're looking for the option called Search Historical Records, which is at the top of the options. You're going to click that button, which then takes you to a page that looks very, very similar to the one that's on the computer. So then you're just going to fill in the same information, first name, last name, place, year, if you have those things, and then it will pull up the same records. So it's just a smaller. So for me, it's easier to see everything that's going on instead of a really condensed version. You can do it on your phone, however. So if your phone is the only option, then this is the way you're going to do it. But again, if you're going to sign up, then you'll have to go on your phone to your Family Search account on your phone, not on the app. So you're going to go to familysearch.org instead of just opening your app so that you can have access or find access to that third-party access. So that's kind of how you do it from there. Again, I know this is a quick version, but I needed it and wanted it to be a quick version, again, because I feel like if we keep it simple, it will give you more confidence to act. And once you act and you become more familiar with it, then we can add upon those, whether it's resolving the exclamation points, the duplicates, or the yellow triangles, or accessing the sources that are attached already, the hints that can be attached. So we'll just be going through all of those and the dreaded merging. Dun, dun, dun. Everyone seems to, it scares the bejeebies out of everyone to merge. So we'll be going through all of that. But my friends, please just get on and try it. Sign up for the free accounts, if nothing else. And then find someone that you may want to try. And maybe it's someone that's already maybe it's your dead grandfather, because there's probably a lot of records on that and you can get your feet wet with that. And then if you're getting inspiration or revelation on looking at someone and maybe feeling in the husband or finding the children for a couple, then this is where you would start. Hopefully, this has been helpful for you, my friends, and hopefully, you will get started in this grand and glorious work because this part for me has been one of the most rewarding. Going to the temple is pretty cool, but I can't tell you the joy that I find. I actually have a special happy dance that I do when I find a very hard record that just blasts wide open that whole line. I love Sherlocking. I've always loved Sherlock ever since I was little. And for me, there's just so much purpose in solving a mystery. So go try this out and maybe you'll find joy in it too. We'll talk to you later. Bye.